What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new video. Now today you join me for yet another car review. As you can see behind me, we have the all new facelifted VW Golf. So this is the 2025 8.5 R-Line Plus. So we're gonna go through all the features, all the details, exterior, interior, experience how it drives, and I really do hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's get right into it. As usual, let's start with the exterior. Now, big thanks to the guys over at GWM Haval Woodmead. They've actually provided me with this car to film for you guys. So I'll leave their details down in the description below. They have an amazing inventory. Not only do they sell your Havals, they also have a great variety of other cars like this one. There's also a GTI Club Sport S and so forth. So yeah, do check them out. So a quick rundown of the exterior. Like I've already mentioned in the intro, this is the R-Line Plus and it just looks so amazing. It's basically wearing the R-Line body kit on the normal TSI Golf model. And up front, you have this very aggressive and deeper front bumper. This kink right here reminds me of the Golf R. There is this honeycomb effect right here, which is in glossy black. Now, it also comes with the new illuminated VW logo. It looks amazing at night when it's integrated with the light bar and the DRLs that's within the main headlight. So this one is the R-Line Plus, like I already mentioned, but it also has the black styling pack. So you get those glossy black mirrors, the badging around the car are also black, which we'll see once we are at the back of the car. Now, did I mention, of course, it has IQ lights, which are matrix LEDs, and they do all sorts of clever things at night. There's also some very aggressive body creases on the bonnet, on the side of the car, and so on. Now, these alloys look absolutely amazing. Two-tone with the glossy black bits and some silver surrounds, 18 inches in diameter, and yeah, very nice rim overall. There is this R badge on the door because this is an R line, of course. The black mirrors that we spoke about, more aggressive side skirts being the R line, which are contrasted in gloss black. That is absolutely nice. And you get a more aggressive roof spoiler on the R line. And I quite like this new design on the tail lights. These sort of like not fully colored tail lights certainly is a new style that is certainly going to be trending in future. What I said about the black styling pack, you get the Golf logo in black, and I quite like how VW is stepping away from fake exhaust. So there is no fake exhaust down here. It just makes the car look a lot more clean and seamless. So you get that honeycomb effect at the back as well. Very nice, ties in nicely. So I think we'll actually rotate the car around and then we'll check out the interior. Okay, so you joined me inside the interior of the new facelifted Golf. So I think we should start right here by the driver's cockpit. So in the R-Line, you get a more sportier steering wheel than in the non-R-Line models. It has perforated grip points, it's flat bottom, it has a little R badge at the bottom spoke right there. Now, they've done away with the touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel because so many people complained, and now you get more physical buttons. I don't really have an issue with them, but I feel like the older style controls on the steering wheel looked far better. That's just my opinion. Now, for the driver display, you get a 10-inch instrument cluster, and it is fully customizable. The ambient lighting is also integrated into it, so when you change the color of the ambient lighting, it also changes on the instrument cluster. You can switch to different views, different styles, different looks, depending on what you feel like. If you want a more minimalistic view, there's that. If you want a more traditional looking view of a rev counter and a speedo, that is also available. So yeah, basically you can change to different views, and up here you can display the more usual stuff. You can look at your trip computer, you can look at your average fuel consumption, you can look at your media displays, you can, if the car is spec'd with navigation, you can have a full screen here where it shows your navigation, which is absolutely cool. I don't think this car has that upgraded navigation pro, so you don't have that feature here, but it's available if you wanted it. I think it goes for like 25,000 rands, I'm not sure, but I'll put the actual figure on screen. So that is the instrument cluster and the driver cockpit overall. Next up, we'll come here to the middle bit. There is a new infotainment screen. This is the same screen that you find in the new Tiguan and most other newer VW models. At first glance, it is absolutely huge, almost looks out of place, but I've grown to like it. I think it works. It just elevates that wow factor, and it's beautiful. Now, I currently have my phone connected, so it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so if you want to use that, you can, absolutely. And it looks crisp and very nice. Resolution is quite high, but the infotainment screen itself also very easy to navigate. The icons are really large, so you don't get lost here. There is a bunch of shortcut menus at the very top of the screen, so you can quickly go into media. You can go into a drive mode menu where you can choose between eco, comfort, sport, and individual, where you get to customize the driving feel whichever way you like. And there is the vehicle settings where you can switch on and off things like traction control. You can look at the safety systems, you can switch on and off the auto start stop, and there is something called interior monitoring. Not really sure what that does, but yeah. And there is, of course, the background lighting, which is the ambient lighting options, so you can choose a bunch of different colors. And there's also an individual mode where you can set up the colors whichever way you want, and you can also have it off. I mean, that's nice, the fact that they give you that choice. So if you don't like any of the ambient lighting stuff, you can turn it off. That's fine, no jizz. So at the bottom of the screen, there is shortcut keys for the climate controls. This car actually comes with cooled and heated seats, which is really nice. I currently have my cooled seats on. It's a bit warm today, so that is well appreciated on a day like today. You can alter the fan speed, the temperature, and so on. But furthermore, within the infotainment screen, there is a menu labeled aircon, and this is where you can also choose the direction of the airflow and whatnot. So basically go fully in on controlling the climate of the vehicle. And next up, I think I'll get into the overall ergonomics, quality, and the design of the interior. There's certainly some interesting shapes and design features going on. I quite love this double layered dashboard. It's got like the swooping effect, certainly looks very cool. And there is this carbon fiber-esque material, but what I like about it is you can tell that it's not really trying to be carbon fiber. It also makes a certain noise to it. Just listen to this. So if you slide your fingers around, it makes that noise because it is quite distinctively textured. So it feels very nice. It does elevate the interior. There is a couple of soft touch points, like at the top of the doors, at the top of the dashboard. And once you start going a bit lower down, that's where you find that hard plastic. But it's not bad because everything feels very solid, very high quality. You don't get any creaks. Maybe if you try hard enough, you'll get some creaks, but on the doors and stuff in the center console, you don't get any of that. And the interior itself feels very minimalistic. That is all thanks to them doing away with a more traditional gear lever, the big one. They go for this small looking one. It just makes the whole place look more airy, more spacious. So you have a lot more room to put your phone and a bunch of stuff. There is the storage bucket here in the center where you get wireless charging, and there is another one in the main center console area next to the gear selector. I don't know what you'd put here, but a phone seems to fit nicely. Further back there is cup holders, and there is this button that releases the grippers. So if you push it, it can grip onto much smaller drinks. Otherwise it's opened up for much larger drinks. So as to say, the door pockets are also very large, also lined with this soft cloth material so things don't rattle in there. And how can I forget, on these new R-Line you get new seats. These are actually the seats that you get in the Golf GTI and the Golf R, just trimmed differently, catered specifically for the R-Line. So they come in this two-tone black middle bit and the grayish outer edges. They also have this nice R logo on them. They are perforated too, so they are a two-piece seat. So the headrest is integrated. They certainly do look cool and sporty, and they hug you very well. So I absolutely love these seats. Lastly, in terms of practicality, there is a central armrest that also houses a bucket, so a storage bucket, and there you can store extra stuff. But there are certain areas where you feel like they're sort of downgrading a bit, like in the glove box. So the glove box itself is big, but it's not lined with felt or soft material, and in the Golf 7, my car, it is. The other thing that I noticed is the cars now come with 6 speakers as standard, not 8. So in the 7s as standard, they come with 8 speakers in the interior, but the sound system still sounds decent. You can also opt for the upgraded Harman Kardon on top of that. So yeah, certain things feel like they are downgrading, but hey, such is life with new cars. So let's now actually check out the space in the back seat and some of the features that are back there. So the back seat in the facelifted VW Golf. I know I'm saying that a lot, but hey, it is a facelift after all. So yeah, it's a Golf back here. So it's very practical. Headroom is plentiful, knee room and leg room is quite good, although the central transmission tunnel feels like it's a bit on the bulky side. And also, okay, thank you, car. The other thing is these seats feel very bulky, so when you're sitting back here, it just feels like they're too much in your way, so you always find yourself just ducking around to be able to see what's going on in front. I think it mainly has to do with the integrated headrest, but yeah, that's one gripe I have with the seats. There is some sort of pockets on them here at the top. I don't know what you'd put here, maybe a phone, I have no idea. And also at the bottom you can put like documents and stuff, and there's rear climate vents, but you can only change the temperature, so you can choose between high and low. There's 2 USB-C ports, or there's also 2 more in the front, I forgot to mention. So the seats still look nice, still two-tone leather finish. There is a central armrest with cup holders that are not concealed. Yeah, that's that. There's also through loading, so if you want to carry longer items into the interior, you can, like skis for people who live in Europe and whatever, and they go skiing. So yeah, I don't know what an SA you'd put, but yeah, longer items can come through into the back. Quality is a bit downgraded at the back compared to the front. The top of the door cards are all plastic, the middle bits, the bottom. So yeah, that's that. The other thing that I mentioned about getting lesser speakers, in the 7s there is a tiny little Twitter speaker right here, and now they've done away with that. It's only the one at the bottom. And yeah, that's that. That is the back seat. Let's check out the boot. There we go. So yeah, this is the boot. Now you're looking at 381 liters in boot capacity, just 1 liter bigger than on the Mark 7. Yeah, very nice, very premium. There are 4 tie down points. There's 2 this side and 2 on the other side. There's an underfloor, of course. When you spec the car with Harman Kardon, you get a subwoofer down here, and there is a decent amount of room down here to chuck in some extra stuff, some pockets on the left side and on the right side. Yeah, very nice. So I see there's a button for the tow hook. So I don't know if it can retract or what. Oh yeah, so you can tuck it up away. At least now the car looks clean and seamless. You can also fold these rear seats just like so to get extra room for carrying longer items or bigger items in general. And yeah, that is the boot. So let's now break down the pricing on the new Golf. So the range kicks off with the Life, which starts from 580,000 rands. On top of that, you have the Life Plus, which starts from about 604,000 rands. Then there is the R line, which kicks off at 660,000 rands. Then there is this car, which is the R line Plus, which starts from 688,000 rands. Now this car, this particular example, has about 1,000 kilometers and it's going for 640,000 rands. So I think it's a bargain because 1,000 kilometers is what? Almost delivery mileage. So yeah, 640,000 rands. If you're interested, do check out the guys over at GWM Haval Woodmead. So let's talk about the powertrain. Now this is the 1.4 liter 4-cylinder motor, turbocharged of course, but it now comes with a new gearbox, the AQ300. So it's an 8-speed automatic gearbox, so it's a more traditional torque converter. It's not a DSG, no more dual clutch, but the car is pumping out 110 kilowatts and 250 newton meters of torque. So 0 to 100 kilometers an hour happens in about 8.5 seconds thereabout. And yeah, that is the performance figures and stats. So guys, you join me inside the Golf 8.5 and let's talk about the driving experience, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on the car. Now first things first, I'm going to tell you things that I noticed, and we'll start off with the gearbox. Since this is a newer style gearbox compared to the older DSG, I'm going to share my thoughts on what it's like, things I've noticed, things I like about it, and maybe things that I don't like. So the first thing that I noticed is it's a lot smoother than the dual clutch, more especially when you do pullaways, when you're maneuvering. It's a much more relaxing gearbox. Now I have no idea why they switched from the DSG, but my guess is maybe some of the reliability issues that were reported or people experience with the dual clutch, that could be a major reason why. The shifts are not as quick as the dual clutch for obvious reasons. Now one of the biggest selling points of a dual clutch is the very instantaneous gear changes. With this car, they're not as fast, but they're still fast enough. Does it matter the speed of the gear changes in this car? No, it doesn't really matter. If it was in a GTI or Golf R, maybe, but on this car it doesn't really matter because the changes are still fast enough and they're very smooth. So for every day-to-day driving, it's perfect. It's just very smooth. I don't know if it's a case of the gearbox or the extra power that you get out of this motor, but it's not as fuel efficient as the 92 kilowatts motor, the DSG motor, by just a bit. I'll put the figure of the average fuel consumption that is claimed by VW on this car on screen. I'll put it on screen right now. But I know in my car the average fuel consumption is rated at 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers, and then you'll get to see how it compares. So even when you're doing in-town driving, the lowest figure I've seen is about 7.7, which is not horrible, but I know my car, when I'm driving in town, I get like 6 or like 5.9 thereabout. That's usually the numbers that I see. So it's not as efficient as the older car, but still decently fuel efficient. That's one thing I'll put out there. Okay, the other thing that I noticed is there seems to be a significant amount of tire roll. Now I have no idea if it's because of the size of the rims, maybe the type of suspension that's used on the car, or maybe the type of tire that the cars come with, but there is a significant amount of tire roll currently we're driving on a relatively smooth tarmac, but I can imagine when you're driving on a rough tarmac, it can be quite annoying. It is certainly noticeable. So yeah, that's something to look out for. Suspension feels sophisticated. It's not the smoothest. You can tell it's hardcore. I think in the R lines they come with harder suspension, and the cars maybe ride a bit lower, so it does compromise a tiny bit on ride comfort, but nothing too intrusive for me personally. I don't know how you'd feel about it, or for someone who's a lot older, they might not like it. But yeah, when it comes to driving spiritedly, that's where it shines, because it'll feel a lot more stable, so as to say, for cornering and for pushing the car if you're going to push it in any way. The biggest talking point on these cars is the pricing. Now, I'm not going to dwell into it's very expensive and this and that. You already know the pricing. But what I'll tell you is this car makes so much sense when you look at cars like the Audi A3, because that starts at about 200,000 rands more than this car. So that is the S line and the R line when you look at them together. And cars like the Mercedes-Benz A-Class, I don't think Mercedes still sells that car new, but I know the starting price was around 800,000 rands thereabout, and spec they were like 900, even close to $1 million. So when you look at cars like the Audi A3, the Mercedes A-Class, then that's where this car starts making sense money-wise, because it comes in like 200,000 rands short of the asking price on those cars. It's priced relatively close to the new BMW 1 Series, so it's more of a give and take when you compare it to the 1 Series. But other than that, when you look at cars from like Chinese manufacturers and whatnot, doesn't really have many rivals, because not a lot of Chinese manufacturers make hatchbacks. Can't think of any at the moment, but yeah, certainly is pricey, because you can get like a nice Haval SUV and Omitted SUV for far less than the asking price on this car. So that's where I'll leave it off. So with all of that out of the way, I have to say this is a very, very nice car, and especially when you look at the life, this looks a lot better than that car. It just has so much more presence, and I would definitely go for the R line over the life specification because of the looks factor, like I said. And yeah, it's still a Golf, man. It's the wow factor has certainly elevated a lot more. I mean, this cabin feels very special. It's a very nice place to be in, and it's just a great car overall. Yeah, it's just that I am a performance enthusiast, so when you look at the pricing, I look at all the cars, all the performance cars that you can get. It's funny enough, you can actually get a Golf GTI, the 8 GTI, for the price of this car. You'll get one with like, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 to 15,000 kilometers thereabout, which is like relatively low mileage. But if you're looking for a car that's brand new, that has some good tech, because this car does have good tech. I mean, all these digital screens and whatnot, the lightings and whatever, and with amazing presence as well, something that stands out, then this is the car for you. Certainly is a car for a young person. It's an amazing car. So yeah, that is the VW Golf 8.5 TSI R-Line Plus. And I really do hope you guys enjoyed this review, and remember to check out the guys over at GWM Haval Woodmead. Their details are down in the description below. And to get more of my input about the driving experience, do check out my POV video, which will drop shortly after this one, 4 days after. Now, if you're watching this video after a long time, just scroll through the channel and you'll find the POV somewhere there. With all of that being said, that's cheers from me.